Hey,
What's going on?
what's up, y'all? Good morning. Can you
Morning,
hear it,
morning.
Lisa? Lisa?
Good morning, team.
Oh, there you are.
Good morning.
It's good to be back. Crazy week, crazy month. Oh my God, I'm still waking up, to be honest with you guys. How's your week so far, Charles?
My week's been pretty good. This heat's definitely hitting hard, but it's nice. Still making good connections. It's just been overall good. You know, really
Yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah.
complain. How about you? Hopefully
Dude,
better than
just
last week.
oh yeah, so much better than last week. So far at least. It's been a busy month, you know, been a productive, busy month. But yeah, dude, it's hecka hot. Even at night, last night, 10 o'clock, when I go pick up my daughter from work, still like 87 degrees.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the whole house fan thing is the business right now. Because then
I know.
even like right now, I swear it's like 69 degrees or something like that, but it's humid. So trying to bring in that outside air, it's just like sucking in a bunch of Tennessee out there.
Uh huh. Uh huh. What about you, Lisa? How's your week so far?
Week is really, really good. So, my family and I, we started this whole exercise regime and everything like that too. And we've been taking walks. It is crazy. If we're starting our walks like at 7:30 yesterday, you guys know that heat wave up to 107. We were dying. And then I had to wait until like 10 o'clock. And even at 10 o'clock, it was still, like you said, 87 degrees. We were sweating like a pig walking around. But hey, we got our walks in. So,
Yeah, it's just because we're so used to air conditioning, and then because I blast my air conditioning every day, 24/7, and then you're acclimated to that temperature, right? And then when you go outside, it's like, ooh, that heat wave, you just feel it. But yeah, it's hecka hot right now. So try to
I
stay
know.
cool, everybody. If you guys are in Sacramento right
Mhm.
now, it is super hot. I think NorCal in general, SoCal too. So hot. All right, well, we got some topics to talk about today, Chi fams. Um, did you guys get a chance to see some of the videos I sent it over to you guys?
I did. I
Yeah,
did.
What do you
yeah.
guys think?
Well, we'll share it with the audience.
Yes, we will share with the audience. Let me just do a quick market update real quick, and then we could begin the topics. Okay. Inventory is going up, y'all.
Yep.
You're noticing that too, Lisa?
Yep. It's been a busy week. Absolutely.
Yeah. With all your other realtor partners?
Yep. You
Yeah.
guys have been doing really, really great. It's a pretty hot month. June's a pretty hot month, literally and professionally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been good. Even on the staging side too. Like we've been getting
Yeah.
so many staging. So it's been a busy, productive month. Back to back. Back to back. But yeah, inventory is up. Like if you look right here from the chart, every week it's been going up. For the last 3 weeks, it seems like it's been pretty steady. The inventory kind of stayed the same. But yeah, it's up. 1,400 homes for sale. New listing is down though from last week, 8% lower. Sold homes are also down 14% lower. Pending homes are down from last week, 6% lower. What is going on, Jim? And then from last month, inventory is up 8%. New listing is down though, 50%. From last month. Sold homes are down 46% from last month. Pending homes are up 5%. Yeah. May was a very like weird month because we had graduation, Mother's Day, all of that going on. So I think a lot of people were kind of taking the weeks off, the month off, to just celebrate all those. Oh, what was that?
Sorry, I was getting beamed up.
I was at one. Something's about to appear. That's what it sounded like. Spooked me for a second. I'm like, but yeah. So May was a slow month for sure. Um, but and you could definitely see it here. Okay, and pending home is up from last month 5%. Now year to date, this right here, big difference. Inventory is up 37%. New listings are down 38% from last year. Sold homes are down 50% from last year. Last year I remember May was super busy. And looky here. Looky here. Pending homes did not change. Stay the same.
I'll
Interesting.
tell you though, Chia, even though last May was busy, I mean, this May is still like it definitely feels very busy, even though the numbers obviously, they were slightly different.
Yeah, you're on the home inspection side, so you probably get a little bit different uh numbers, datas compared to us, because
Yeah, I mean, technically, I guess I'm a little bit behind, right? Because sold homes, I'm doing them before they're sold, so technically they're kind of like, actually, I guess I'm a little ahead then.
that's true, because even though you do home that's are new listings and that are just hitting the market, it might necessarily go sold. You're
Yeah,
doing more pendings.
exactly. And then like what I have will probably be sold, like stuff that I did at the end of May and towards the middle of May isn't going to show as sold until June, right? So yeah,
Yep.
the escrows aren't as short, but there's still some pretty short ones. So
But for sure, this month though, starting off, like I already feel it. It's way busier than last month, same time. So we will see how the month of June goes. But so far, I am feeling it though in the market. Everybody's coming back. Okay, average price per square foot is down 2% from last week, but it is still up 1% from last month. It's down from last year though by 0.6. Okay, interesting. Interesting. I'm curious to see what sold price is. This is days on the market. Average days on the market is 24 days, so 2 days more than last week. From last month, it is 8 days faster. So on average, if you put your home on the market today, it should not take more than 12 days for it to be off the market. Okay? And if it's on the market longer than that, something's going on. And last year it was 17 days. Same time. Yeah, see. A lot of cash buyers right now. A lot of cash buyers. So I did an open house last week, right? And for one of my new listings that just came on the market. And man, there was so many Bay Area buyers. The people that I spoke to, a lot of them moved from the Bay and have been waiting to buy at a more affordable price range for them. And so some of them have been been living in Sac, renting, staying with friends and family for like maybe 3-4 years.
Wow.
Because they're waiting for the crash.
So that's so nuts. That's so nuts because I mean, if you're coming from the Bay Area like me, if you're coming from the Bay Area and you're still waiting for that crash, it's funny because I still get those Bay Area people who are like, well, I'm looking for a house that's 300,000. Okay. Sacramento is less expensive than the Bay Area by a lot, but we're not like it's not that crazy. The average
Right.
home prices are not 300,000, right?
Yeah, I think too, those families that's been waiting from the Bay still, it's
Yeah.
because they are probably more conservative, you know. And a lot of them are like family. Got like probably three or more people living in the home. This is gonna be the forever home. You know, they're not planning on moving anywhere else. Uh, the parents are no longer working. Only the kids are working, and they have cash that they want to use to buy the home, so that way they don't have any more bills, and the kids could just come back and forth. So that's at least from the people that I spoke with last week. So I thought that was pretty interesting. There wasn't a lot of like investors that were like from the Bay buying it, wanting to rent it out. It was more just I want to buy this home because I want to live here forever, and this is gonna be my retirement home.
Yeah.
So
I
I
mean,
thought that
it's
was
funny
interesting.
because even though they're still waiting, but yet at the same time, home prices are still pretty high in the Bay Area.
Yep.
They're still at least 1.2 and above. I mean, I'm doing a few deals in the Bay Area still, so I still see that. I was like, wow, we've been waiting for 3 or 4 years. You've been living here in Sacramento for 3 or 4 years. I feel the pain. I feel the pain of missing out on that opportunity for them.
Yeah, I think it's sad that so many people that we know, right, Lisa, are
Mm-hmm.
waiting for the crash, and then it's not happening. And each
Mm-hmm.
year, it's kind of like a person that gambles, right? Maybe
Yeah.
I'll hit the jackpot next time,
Yeah.
maybe, and then it'll
Yeah.
make up for all of these bad times.
Correct. I mean, you're just waiting for that one time, and it's to pull you through the rest. It's like, oh man, that just so many lost opportunities
Yeah,
trying to chase that one jackpot. That's crazy.
yeah, and I don't know. I think that's pretty crazy. But all right, well, moving on. All right, active price is up from last week. 1% sold price on average did go up by 2% compared to last week. Last month, sold price is up 1%. Okay, so it's still going up. Active is up on average from last month, almost 1%. Okay, this is interesting here. So sold price is down now compared to last year by 2%. I think
Oh,
this is
that's
the first. I think this is the first time I've seen all the data that
mm-hmm.
the numbers are lower than last year. Actives is down, sold is down. So I'm curious, are we now starting to see a shift? I don't know, but normally when the number starts to, go down compared to last year, and it's not on an upward climb anymore, um, a shift might be happening soon, guys. But then
I don't
only time.
disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, Chia, because see, even with my own uh, agents and whatnot, I'm seeing price reductions. I'm seeing more days on the market. Especially certain price points in all over California. And yeah, the traction on open houses that I'm helping out with as well is not as much as it used to be either.
Yeah, it's open houses are a lot lower. Offers are a lot lower now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more low balls, and yes, a lot of homes that's sitting on the market. Um, they are reducing their prices just to get people to come back and take a look at their homes. So that is definitely going on right now. And look, you see it. Data don't lie. Maybe we're
Mm-hmm.
starting to see if y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Let's look at the month's worth of inventory. That can't be right. we are not at 4 months worth of inventory.
This usually happens when you do this on the beginning of the month, right, Tia?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so we kind of gotta wait for it to be more mid-June to get a
Right.
more accurate number.
Right. So
Um,
most of the time people are listing at the beginning of the month. So there's a whole bunch at the beginning of the month, but it's averaging out for only 6 days, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, because this is going for the whole month of May already, and it's saying 1.5. So if you do the math, people, how it cannot jump so fast from 1.5 to 4 months in like a matter of weeks. I mean, I guess it can happen, right? If every seller in California or Sacramento goes, "Hey, let's put our homes on the market right now."
Right, right. I mean, in 2008, that's what happened. But no, we're not there yet. We're
No,
not
we are
definitely.
definitely not there yet. So, okay, so I would definitely put a big grain of salt attached to this 4.1 month worth of inventory. We will have to just circle back on this more towards like maybe even next week
Hmm.
or in 2 weeks. This will be a little bit more accurate. But for sure, we are not 4 months.
Yeah.
We are not 4 months. Maybe we are still closer to 1.5 or a little bit higher than this, but definitely not 4 months. Because there is still not that much inventory in the market. And that is the market update, y'all. Let's go to Mortgage Daily. Mortgages.
All right. Looks like rates this week did go down. Okay. The job reports are coming out tomorrow, everyone, and that could go either way. It's projected. Uh, well, there's no way of us really knowing. But yeah, most people are going to be locking loans more so today because taking a chance for tomorrow that the job market's going to be favorable for rates is a little bit of a gamble right now. And as you can see, it's been very, very volatile. So if you have loans right now, it's advised to go ahead and lock in your loans.
Yeah. And you guys heard us said it here before. When the rates go up, like on average, let's just say today we're looking at it at 6.5, right, for FHA, 7.0 for conventional. If it does go up, like let's say in a couple hours or in a couple of days, it might affect, depending on your loan, it might affect your monthly payment like a couple of dollars. So that's why me and Lisa always like to emphasize the idea of budgeting and staying well below your DTI and not trying to stretch it to the max, because then you're not giving yourself any breathing room, right? And not just that, but property tax. When property tax gets reassessed and the area is doing good in your home that you just bought, it's gonna go up in property tax. And if you stretched out that DTI, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot long term.
Right.
Otherwise, you're gonna have to plan for all of that. Okay. All right. Well, that's the market update for everybody. Anything else y'all want to add, Charles? Okay. Then maybe we can start talking about the next topics, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how you guys feel, but I like it. I like reacting to a lot of these videos that we've been watching, shorts. The reason why I wanted to keep reacting to these videos is because, again, sometimes these people, these influencers or gurus, they make these videos and it sounds really catchy. It sounds really good, but sometimes it's too good to be true, and it really is. And so that's why we kind of like to react to it and see if it's something that's legit, right? Because if it's not legit, then I don't think you guys should be paying attention to it, because it's just going to be teasing you guys, and there's really no point. And sometimes these people, they really, really do it just to get the clout, just to chase clout, and it's not fair for the consumers, the average consumer that don't really know exactly how it works, and then you're already kind of jaded from the whole
Yep.
process. And that's the biggest issue. Like there's times we talk to people and then they're like, I just saw this video on TikTok or YouTube and they were saying that you could do this and that. How come you're saying that we can't? So now there's like a big misconception of like the whole process now. And now we have to kind of help retrain the clients and let them, bring them back to reality, right, Lisa? We do that a lot,
Mhm.
right? Bring them
Mhm.
back from like fantasy world into reality.
Mhm.
So that's why we do these reaction videos. And again, you guys are more than welcome to send us videos that you guys kind of want us to react to. Oh, I'll love to react to them and just kind of get a Lisa and Charles' opinion about it. But yes, that is why we do it. Let me just.
Are we heading for a market crash in 2024?
You know what? I want to say this one for later. Actually, we just talk about this now.
24. Well, Zillow just released its 6 predictions for next year. And number 2 is shocking. Number 6, AI comes to the housing industry. This could mean trouble for realtors. Number 5, less competition for flippers. That's what I do. Number 4 is super interesting. What they mean by this is that a lot of people want to be close to public transit and close to their commute or close to their job. So this is kind of the reverse of what happened during the pandemic. Number 3 kind of sucks, right? You have higher demand for single family rentals, but not only do you have higher demand from people like us, you also have Jeff Bezos' company and Blackstone buying tons of single family houses right now. And they're not going to sell them to us. They're going to rent them back out to us. So this is shocking.
Number 3, that's what I've been saying, is a lot of these big hedge fund companies are buying homes and they're renting it out. That's why in the past I said that I think we're going to probably go into a rent nation industry,
Mhm.
to where there's not going to be a lot of homes for sale. There's going to be more homes for rent. And if you don't hurry up and buy your own home, you're going to have to keep renting. And what's going to happen is some landlords are just going to keep you on month to month, to where they're going to just keep raising rent. So unless there's like a rent control policy that comes out for everyone, to where landlords can't raise rent for the next 5+ years on the same tenant, whatsoever, then like I don't really see any of that changing.
Yeah,
Well,
and
then
that's
they'll just start
horrible.
evicting people.
Yeah.
That's already happening, Charles. People are getting evicted left and right because rent's going up and their income hasn't, so they can't even pay rent, and they're defaulting in their rent, and then landlords are kicking them out, and now they have an eviction on their credit report.
Well, no, I mean, if they do some kind of control like that where they can't raise it on the same tenant, then they'll just, evict the people that are there and then raise it up for the next person coming in.
Yeah.
Right. And if they start to control that, I mean, in the short run and everything, it's going to only help a very small pool of people, Chia. And the sad thing is, let's just say, for instance, okay, if you if you had rental properties and whatnot, and as common folks have rentals and whatnot, if that does happen, it doesn't incentivize actual people to want to buy rentals. Then what happens? These Blackstones, these big hedge funds, will go ahead and take over and monopolize that again. And what's going to happen is kind of like a Walmart thing, right? Walmart versus Costco versus the Dollar Tree, and the rent's going to be like so crazy. Okay, either they're going to monopolize it and say, hey, let's make sure that the standard of rent is only going to be that much, right? And then the average consumer is going to get so hurt by that. Now, if they keep it as a rent control type of situation, now they're going to be price cutting each other. I'll say, okay, well, rent our house, you can rent it for $2,000. Rent our house, you can rent for $1,500, and then it goes back down to that crazy time, it's going to be crazy either way that it goes. And you sent a video the last time about how people are like, how do you feel about, home ownership and these hedge funds taking over? It's like, there's got to be some sort of a law so that we don't get to that monopolized situation where it's going to be Red Nation because of all these companies taking over.
I think there's always a gray area, even if that's the case, Lisa, because like these hedge fund companies, all they're gonna do is just create new entities and buy homes in a new entity. Because let's just say the law says, if you're a big hedge fund company, you're a limit to buying 50 homes or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
One entity is going to buy 50 homes, a new entity is going to buy 50 homes, and so forth and so forth. So I feel like there's always going to be like a gray area to where they're still going to be able to make it possible to take ownership and monopolize.
Right. I mean, eventually it seems like that's the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we as the people say something about that first, right, and stop them from planting that seed, or at least stop the seed from being, planted so many times, because it won't be just Blackstone, it won't be just 2-3 companies, it might be even 5, 6, 7, 10. It's gonna be even worse than that.
Yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see what time tells, right? But let's continue on with the video.
In a good way. Home buying costs will level off. As of October, a typical home buyer would spend more than 40% of their earnings on their mortgage payment, and they're expecting that to level off, which is kind of...
You think that's going to be the case, Lisa? It's going to level off right now? Majority of buyers, are you seeing people spending more than 40% of their income towards a mortgage?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm seeing it more. People are really maximizing it out, even on my side. Even when I say, hey, don't stretch your dollar as far. But the thing is, sometimes people just don't have a choice, right? It's like, all right, Lisa, I either maximize up to 50% or I continue to rent. That's really what it is, because the inventory is so low.
Do you feel that it's going to start leveling off?
Yes, I do. Just because I think with the job market that comes out and everything like that, okay, it's very misconstrued. And the reason why I say that is like there's a lot of jobs out there. There's a lot of entry-level jobs. There's a lot of fast food jobs. There's a lot of service jobs, which are not bad. But the thing is, the average income that it takes to be a homeowner takes a lot more than that. We're talking about second tier, third tier level jobs and whatnot, which are not as available to the public. And when that goes down, those people are the pool of people, the mass pool of people who are buying consumer goods in order to help with the economy, right? Now, if they're not being able to do that, yes, it's going to level off, because people in the entry-level position, there's going to have to be 2-3 incomes of that in order to be able to afford home ownership. So most of the time, people don't live with 2-3 family members that have that income. And if they're forced to be in that situation, again, you're just running that rat race, right? You're just trying to get by. And we're not even talking about passive income. We're just talking about how people are going to get income just enough so that they can live paycheck for paycheck. So yeah, I think it's going to level off to offset that.
Yeah, or some sort of program, right? That's going to help first-time home buyers.
Right. I mean, there are programs right now that's 0% down payment. It's not free money, guys. But at the same time, it's like, okay, great. It's an incentive to help home buyers. Where's the incentive to help home sellers to create more inventory, right? We're still stuck in that situation, as you show us the data all the time, that, hey, we're still lacking inventory.
You know what's crazy? So speaking about that free money programs, right? I was talking to a prospect last week, and he was telling me that he knew someone that bought a home, right? And that person had an emergency and needed to sell.
Yeah.
And when they saw their home, in their mind, they were thinking, "Oh man, I like at least the minimum I'll get my my down payment back, right, and my closing costs, etc." And then she didn't realize that when she sold it, there was certain fees that's gonna have to come up, right? Realtor commissions, title fees, and all of that. And not only that, the free money. So she didn't get any money back. She had to bring money to the table
Right.
because
I've
she had
had
to
that
pay off
happen.
all of those liens, right? All of those
Right.
assistant money because she wasn't there for that long because the emergency had happened and she had to sell her home. And she, for some reason, she forgot all about that. That when you sell or refinance, you had to pay that back, and that screwed her over so bad.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so that could happen, that could happen to anybody.
Absolutely. And I had a very, very similar situation happen last year, Chia, where, I had a client that was in the process of selling their current home to purchase another home and everything like that. They ended up not having enough down payment because that second lien that they forgot about, okay, was actually $30,000. So now that $30,000 is gone, right? And they didn't have enough money to get to the other one. And it was a really sad situation.
Yeah, it happens, and if you already know for sure your exit strategy isn't going to be implemented till like a few years down the road, then like you need to think about that before you commit to a program like that, and
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
people, again, I'm gonna keep blaming the influencers, right? Because then they talk about those things all the time, and
They do.
and then first-time home buyers, they're so happy, they just want it. And you ever know people that even though they know what they're doing is wrong or it doesn't make sense, they're seeking people to justify that it's okay for them to do it. They're just gonna keep finding somebody to say, "Oh yeah, go ahead, do it," and then even though it's not logical. And I feel like that's the case with a lot of first-time home buyers that watch these videos and they're like, "Oh yeah, I should do it. Yeah, I'll be fine." No, you need to think about all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay,
Well, like
moving
you
on.
said, Gia, a lot of these gurus and whatnot, it's kind of like a bait and switch type of situation,
It
right?
is. It is. It is. You watch it, I got the views now, and then call me.
Yep,
And
yep, yep.
that's really how it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I think this is already happening, and you can see it. Higher for longer interest rates will lead to more homes on the market. That is very, very true. It depends on what locations you are. The West Coast, you see this happening. The East Coast, are we heading for?
I agree.
The West.
Higher for longer interest rates will lead to more homes on the market. We're seeing that right now, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
earlier we mentioned it. Higher price point homes that doesn't have that much buyer pool, they're staying
yeah.
on the home a lot longer. And I feel based off of the data, those numbers are, if it's over 600K, it's gonna stay on the market a little bit longer than normal. Anything
Right.
below 600K right now is still going like hotcakes.
Well, I mean, that's for our area, right, Chia? And
Yeah,
again, I have transactions all over California right now.
that's
And
right.
I say if it is a little bit above the average home prices in the area, which in Sacramento, we're still at 550, 575. That's why anything above 600 is a little bit affected, right? But in Fresno, okay, anything above 450 is more affected.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Different market for
And
sure.
yeah, I mean, there's certain parts in SoCal, the same thing. I had a client that was trying to sell her condo for 550, and she had to lower the price by $25,000, and that was in SoCal.
Yeah. This is definitely seeing a effect for sure. Higher for longer interest rates leading to more homes on the market. So this is Zillow's prediction for 2024, and this is the prediction that's possibly going to cause a crash. But I honestly still don't think that these reasons are enough to justify a crash. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
um, at least not in this market that we're in, right?
Right.
I don't see that inventory still low. There's still a lot of buyers out there. most sellers that the homes do stay on the market, what do they end up doing? They take it off the market and they rent it out because people are still renting.
Right. Right.
They rent it out or they Airbnb it and then they wait until it's more favorable and they put it back on the market.
Right.
You know, like, or they're renting it out and putting it on the market saying that there's a tenant that's month to month.
Right.
You know, so I see a lot of that. So, I mean, at least in this market, Sacramento, I really don't feel that these reasons right here are going to cause a crash. Okay. That's why the first thing we do is go over the market trends. So that way you guys see the data. I mean, yes, compared to last year, it seems like, you know, everything is a lot starting to take a turn, you know, but I feel like after this month, if we don't see a shift in this and it's a continued trend for like 3 months straight, then we can start to really go with the idea that, okay, the shift is happening. But this is the first time I've seen it compared to last year's data that it's on a downward. Okay, so we shall see.
Right. I mean, last month was rough on interest rates, so that might be the case too.
Yeah. Nope, I agree. Okay, you guys want to see the next video?
Yes, please.
National median rent and annual household income in the US since 1985. This is insane. And I have a story about this. It's going to blow your mind. So shout out to the Beauty of Data TikTok account where we got this from. When I was selling real estate, I'd sold hundreds of homes. And one of my richest clients ever told me something about rents I will never forget because it caught me so off guard. I just didn't believe it for years. We were looking at houses, we were going around, and he had been investing in houses all over the world, but also in the United States. And as we were going through, I made a comment about one of the homes we were looking at because the rent that the home was getting was very, very high. And I was like, well, you have to be careful because it might potentially go down one day. You want to factor that into your analysis. And he looked at me and he said, Steven, rents never go down. And it took me years to understand what he was talking about.
Isn't this crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Dude, look at the freaking gap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'll speak to this especially. I remember when I first moved out in 2001, got an apartment. I think my rent was like $700 and something for like just under 1,000 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And then the first house that I rented was about $1,275 in 2005. Right. So rent on a house that's that similar in size is now almost $3,000. My income hasn't gone up that much. You know what I mean? That's more than double
Mm-hmm.
for the same style house.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so this is where the argument always comes in, right? We'll always get a client, right, Lisa, that will say, should I keep renting or should I just finally take the bullet and buy? Well, if you would have bought, then you could have sheltered yourself from this.
Yeah.
At least if you have a fixed rate, okay? Not an adjustable rate, but if you had a fixed rate, you could have avoided this, you know?
Right.
Yes, insurances go up. Yes, escrow account goes up because of property tax, etc. But your principal and interest is going to stay the same for 30 years if you have a fixed rate. And that would help you a lot more than a rental because landlords have mortgages.
Right.
But they're not going to keep it the same for when they met you in 2005, 2006, right, Charles? They're going to raise it up. And kind of like what Charles mentioned earlier, if they can't raise the rent on you because of a certain policy that just came out yesterday, they're going to find a way to evict you. And then the new tenant that comes in gets to pay market rent now.
Right.
And we see that happening all the time. Like we have
Absolutely.
clients that wait because they said that they just found a rental, so they're gonna wait. And then they get relocated 2, 3 times and they're so tired of it and it's getting so unaffordable that they decide to just, I'm just gonna buy a home now because buying a home is only like a couple $100 more than my rental for the same
Right.
house that I need for my family. And that rental might go up next year when we get evicted again. So
Right.
it becomes a pattern. Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys are probably thinking, but I thought you said it's gonna become a rent nation. So these landlords that are kicking people out, why are they selling them? Because sometimes they might not want to sell. They might just tell you, the current tenant, that they're selling it. But the moment that they kick you out and they do remodel on the home, they're going to raise rent and somebody's going to move in. They're going to be like, oh, I guess I can still rent it out for a higher amount. I'll just keep renting it out.
Right.
Like there's
Well, not
many times, right? We see
right.
people or landlords that say, hey, I'm going to sell my home, so I'm going to evict you guys out. But they
Right.
never sell the home. They always keep renting it out.
Yes and no to that, right? I mean, there's always the loophole, right? There's always the
For sure.
loophole where let's just say, for instance, because they are on rent control, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna sell the property so that I don't have to deal with this anymore because they're not cash flowing with what the market value is. So then what happens? The loophole is they can sell it to family, they can sell it to friends, they can, and then later on they can just sell it back and forth to one another, keep the property technically, right? But be able to charge market rent. We work with so many first time buyers, Chia, that I mean we've ran into many scenarios where people are like, well, their landlord is giving them such a great deal on rent, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And then what happens another year later, another 2 years later, what we said becomes true. I was like, okay, yeah, my landlord's going to sell the house. Now I'm forced to buy, right?
Yeah.
But if you didn't position yourself like a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, like we mentioned before, then you wouldn't have. It would have been a lot cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, this chart, I'm going by this. That's ironic. I'm going by this TikToker influencers data chart right here. Okay. I don't know how accurate this is, but judging by a lot of the what Charles said and what a lot of our clients tell us, this is pretty accurate. Like our incomes have not gone up that much.
No, it has not.
That's kind of scary, y'all. Imagine you would have owned a home right here and then you rented it out. Look at all that.
The crazy thing is when the market crashes or anytime the economy goes down, right? Less people are equipped to buy, which means most people have to rent. Now,
Yep.
why? If you were a landlord, if you knew that and everything like that, what's the incentive to decrease the rent? There's no incentive. In fact, there's more incentive to raise the rent because there's more people needing to
More
rent.
demand. Supply and demand. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. I agree. Y'all. Okay. One more. Let's do that.
This is a video proving how important it is to have an inspector who goes above the minimum standard. So we fill up all the bathtubs to the overflow. You're really only required to fill up the tub, check for hot or cold water. But beyond that, what you're about to find, the general home inspector is absolutely not required to do. You are not required to move this vacuum cleaner. You are not required to scan this wall with a thermal imaging camera where you can clearly see that there's a temperature difference. And then to verify it with a moisture meter to in fact see that, yeah, there's a leak from that tub into this wall.
Wow.
Charles, do
I
you
know that there
do
was that.
I want to hear Charles' take on this.
Yes, Charles. Talk to us about this magic tool that I never knew existed.
Which one?
That tool that he's holding that will tell you if there's like he said,
and then
water in the walls.
This tool?
Yes. That's what he says it is.
Well, so here's the thing. It's not magic, right? So it's still an observation game, right? You still have to do that.
Yeah.
Now, typically when I run into a situation where I see there's something strange going on right now, we're not really supposed to be moving homeowners items, all that kind of stuff. But I'm gonna tell you, right, if I suspect something, I'm gonna do it anyway, right? I'm gonna look in a few different places. So that's the reason why I suggest that people run the water so long. You get people coming by saying, "Well, why are you running the water for like 5-10 minutes?" Um, and they get
Because of this.
upset when, yeah, they get upset when the homeowners are home. They get upset because you're running their water and stuff, right? They don't understand what we do. But anyways, my point is that you're not always going to be able to see something that's going on instantaneously like this. I mean, I think that it's nice to point this kind of thing out. It's the truth, though. There's a lot of home inspectors that run the water, they turn it on, make sure there's no leaks, turn it right back off. Meaning when I say leaks, I mean right at the actual faucet, right? So obviously, it's definitely important to have one that goes above and beyond having these tools to look into things further. That moisture meter that he was using was a non-contact moisture meter, meaning you don't have to stab the prongs into the actual drywall to see if there's a leak. So, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll run water upstairs and we'll check for any kind of temperature differential from upstairs to downstairs. But here's the problem. If this hasn't been a long lasting leak or something that's been going on for a while, and I run water in a house that has insulation between the floors, I'm not necessarily going to be able to see that there's that leak or that temperature differential. This tool here, this thermal imaging tool, is looking for thermal differentials. It's not a special leak detecting tool. So, for example, if it's not raining the middle of summer, and you're looking for a roof leak, you're pretty much not going to find that roof leak unless there's evidence of some kind of staining. You're going to see temperature differentials with this gun. So if you see, on a nice hot sunny day, you're going to see the quality of insulation that's in the ceiling, that's in the walls, because you're going to be able to see what the temperature differentials between where the stud is and then where the wall cavity is, and if that insulation is doing its job. You're going to be able to see if there's a change in temperature there. Same thing with it if it's leaking, right? It has to be an active leak on a day where you can see a temperature differential. And then if the temperature in the house, for example, if it's freezing cold in the house because the house has been vacant and there's rain outside and it's leaking in, but that rainwater that's sitting on that piece of drywall is the same temperature as the rest of the drywall, you're not going to see a temperature differential. So, these tools work, but they have to be used properly and they have to be used in certain circumstances. They're definitely amazing tools to have. I will say that just walking by, if you don't see a stain, there has been times when I've been able to detect leaks without a stain being present. That's the thing that's great about these tools, and that's what he's saying here. But you can't always find an immediate leak with a thermal imaging gun if there's these other situations like insulation or things of that nature. So obviously, again, going above and beyond is always important. But this is again, just when I saw this last week, I saw this as was the same thing. I was thinking like, okay, that's perfect that you're saying it this way, and that's cool that it works this way. But that doesn't mean that because what you did by filling up the tub and doing all that stuff, that doesn't mean that you caused that leak to be visible right then. That leak was most likely already prevalent enough that it soaked that drywall, soaked that insulation, and that baseboard and the carpet and the padding and everything for that to be seen. I appreciate what they do, because that's the same thing when you have a tile shower stall and you basically do what's called flooding. So you put a stopper in the drain and you fill it up with about 1 inch of water, maybe 2 inches of water, and you let it sit there. And then if that shower pan waterproofing measure has failed, typically it will start to leak below. And then you'll see that again. If you have insulation and then it hasn't been an ongoing leak, you're not necessarily going to see that. But then you can always verify temperature differentials with your moisture meter. If you have a temperature differential that looks like there's a leak one way or the other, then you can test it with your moisture meter again, just like he mentioned, to verify then that there's a problem. Now, if you don't have these tools and you're just going based on visual observation only, which is what most of the home inspector certifications require only. They don't require you to have a thermal imaging gun. They don't require you to have a moisture meter. They don't require you to do any of that. They require you to visually inspect things and then give your input based on that. These are just additional things that you can do to go above and beyond to make sure you're finding as many things as possible for your clients.
It's funny because I'm reading these comments, right? And I don't know if you guys can see that, but they're like, you could have saved the moisture meter and looked at the water stain.
That is pretty funny. That's what I'm saying. I feel like this is somebody that's just mentioning this kind of stuff and saying, "Oh, look what I found!" Right?
Yeah.
How about you point one of these out that's just bare, dry, and you can't see anything, right? That's and I've had those before. Where literally the ceiling is white. It looks like nothing has ever happened. And then, you're just like scanning around. And you're like, well, that looks slightly different. There's something going on there, or you're just suspecting. So you're scanning the ceilings above bathrooms anyway, and then you see that, and then you see a differential, and you're like, oh, what's going on with that? But this is a leak that's been going on for a while, especially if there's insulation. Some of these higher end homes have insulation between the floors because it dampens out some of the noise from floor to floor. Some of the other homes might not. They might just be straight bare, open in the drywall, nothing. You're always going to be able to see something different immediately in those situations. But that's hilarious. It's like, yeah, why didn't you just see the stain? But see, he wouldn't have saw the stain if he didn't move the vacuum.
That's true. Exactly. And sometimes, like home inspectors and buyer's agent gets blamed for breaking sellers' items in the home by moving stuff, carpets, rugs, sofas, etc. So that's why home inspectors are not really they are not required to relocate or move anything around, so
well,
it's just
then they get extra irritated because then you found something extra that now they're responsible for. So
that's the hard thing. It's like, what do you do?
Now, Charles,
I'm gonna still keep doing what I do. I mean, I understand it sucks. I'm gonna get some sellers that are gonna be pissed off at me, but I'm not working for you. I'm working for the buyer.
Right. So, Charles, okay, because there's a delayed response on how these machines can work, right? So let's just say, for instance, okay, if the buyer comes in and they don't see these damages, or it's not visible until another year, 2 years. I actually have a client in this situation, and it was really super masked. And when they uncovered it 2 years ago, now he's in a predicament. So when you guys do that inspection at that second year, pull up everything, they pulled up the carpet and everything like that, and they found so many cracks on the foundation. They find that there's so much mold on the back of the cabinets of the kitchen and everything like that, and that damage had to have happened way before that, than the 2 years?
Typically, yeah. I mean, it depends on the situation, right?
So how would they be able to prove that? And if they were able to prove that, how did it come back where they can contest that with the seller? And, of course, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. But, how would that play out? Is I guess I'm trying to understand.
So, I mean, it really depends on the situation. But, a lot of times if something, because, the sellers or the buyers will say, well, the sellers didn't disclose this. They knew it and they should have said something. Or they'll say the home inspector missed this and they should have told us about it. But you got to understand something, right? So, and this is something that I just spoke to a realtor about maybe about 6 months ago, because she had me come over to look at a situation that she was worried about. Now, this was way worse than it possibly even looked on the surface, right? So she pulled out something from her closet to just do some spring cleaning. She was like putting her Christmas stuff away or something. Pulled out a bin that was in her closet, and there was a little bit of a stain on a baseboard in the back of her wall, right? But she had bins and just regular stuff that a homeowner would have in their home, right? Or just someone in there. And so she pulled that back. Now, as she started pulling more and more back, there's more and more mold and more staining and warping and all this stuff. And then she turned out about 6 feet out, there was water that's been leaking in this room for months and months and months and months. Every single time somebody flushed the toilet upstairs or ran the shower upstairs, water was constantly leaking down from this drain pipe that was within the wall that had probably failed at some point, but it was leaking, and it caused all this damage. She basically had to redo all the drywall, all the baseboard, the carpet had to be removed, the flooring was completely changed out. So the thing about it is there has to be an understanding about this situation, right? But some people, they want someone to blame because now they don't want to have to pay for it. This is the things about being a homeowner. When you run into a situation where there's something that happens, you can't just say it's somebody else's fault. Sometimes you got to deal with it, right? There's insurance that will deal with some of these situations. But for example, in the example that you made, how are we supposed to know that there's something under that carpet? We can't rip up the carpet and look and see that something's been going on. Something could have been leaking behind the wall that entire time, been masked by the paint, the baseboard, the carpet, and everything else that was in there. And that's just if there's a vacant home, right? And even using thermal imaging, you may not always be able to find those things because, again, that's not something that's required. So, but typically what will happen is the seller, if it's something that they feel is negligent or they speak to a lawyer and they say it's negligent, they literally just go after everybody. They go after the real estate agent, the home inspector, the seller, and everything, and they want to just get something out of it because, they bought this house that they thought was fine, and this stuff was masked under the carpet and everything else, and there was no other indication, but it doesn't matter. They're just like, well, there's mold in here, and then somebody should have known, and blah, 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 blah. So a lot of times what will happen is there'll be litigation. They'll just go after everybody, and they'll get the money wherever they can. Or they'll just go after the home inspector or the real estate agent or the seller and try to, again, say these things. But when you're buying a house, you have to understand that, especially with a home that's been lived in, these are the things that are going to happen. And you have to have that understanding in place that things are going to fail and you're not always going to know that they're going on. I mean, there's plenty of times when things are not indicated until it's far worse. Termites, for example, termite damage. If you can't see the termite tubes, the termite company can't tell you that there's termite evidence going on. You have to see the evidence first. That's why these tools are so important to have, is every single bit of things that you can use to try to find as many things as possible is going to then ensure that new homeowner is going to be able to at least plan for some of this, or at least say, hey, seller, this is what's going on. Can you at least, come down on price or whatever it is? Or at least if they're buying as is, then they can understand, well, I'm going to have to budget for this. I'm going to have to figure this out, right? But again, even with that being said, there's no home inspector, there's no termite inspector, there's no inspection company that's going to literally be able to go through this home and see every single thing that has ever happened. It has to deal with seller disclosures and all that. You're not going to be able to see everything that's happened, and you're not going to be able to see everything within the walls. You get a really good home inspector, a really good termite inspector, you're going to see as much as possible. That's why it's good to make sure that you're hiring the right people. But understand that when you buy a home, these are the things that you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have to deal with, breakdowns and things that are going to happen like this. And also understand that this is an ongoing thing. As a renter, that's one of the great things about being a renter. If something breaks down, you just call the landlord and say, hey, my air conditioning's broke. They pay for it. You don't. There's a leak in the floor, whatever it is.
You
they
hope
that
they pay for it.
Well, if you got a slumlord, then yeah, and I've dealt with this. My niece, that's out of town. She's got a situation where she was dealing with that. Her slumlord. I mean, it took weeks and weeks and weeks to deal with a leak. Like there was water pooling up on the floor, and they didn't deal with this. I mean, this is horrible. I have never had that experience. I've always had great landlords in the past when I've rented. It's always been good. And I've always had situations where they realize what I'm capable of, and so they just kind of let me do whatever I want, and it's always been nice. Because of course, if you get somebody that knows what they're doing, what are you doing? You're improving their house, so why wouldn't they let you do things, right? But anyways, back to the situation though. It's very important to hire somebody that obviously, whether or not it's realtor, someone like you, Lisa, or a home inspector, you need to have somebody that's going to have the experience and the knowledge and the tools to be able to give you as much information as possible. Same thing with anything else you do. These transactions have to be done with experienced people that can protect you and give you as much. Now, if you run into that situation, be realistic. Understand that if something happens with something that literally this lone person or this real estate agent should have never known about, or this home inspector should have never known about, you can't just jump to the conclusion that it should have been their fault and they should have told you. Not everything is able to be disclosed or given in this information. And you got to imagine somebody that's lived in a home for 20 years. It's not like they just negligently didn't tell you something. They literally just don't remember what happened 20 years ago when their water thing leaked and it got on the floor and whatever. I mean, they're not going to tell you every single thing. You got some of those really diligent homeowners that keep the notes and have the big books and binders of paper. Those are the best people, I swear, because their homes are the most immaculate. Everything's dialed in, and they have records to show you that it was, right? But a lot of people don't live like that. It's kind of ridiculous. You know, most people they live day to day. They have their kids and their work, their jobs, everything else, and they don't remember every single thing that happened. So, you know, just understand that it's part of the home buying experience. But know that if you get the right people in there, they're going to give you as much information as possible so that you're educated.
I agree.
Good to know.
I agree. And with that, we're gonna close this live stream up, Chi fams. That was fun. thanks for teaching, Charles.
Oh,
a lot of information. But okay, I'm gonna end it here. We will see you guys next time. Again, if you guys have other videos you guys want us to react to, similar to the ones we watched today, send it over. And we would love to react to them and give you our honest opinion about it, okay? But other than that, I will close this out and let you guys all go. Peace out, Chi fams.